you can actually still make money as a coach, healer, or service provider online in 2025. The thing is, buying habits have shifted. Okay. There are people that are still looking for coaches for all types of things. They want help with their health. They want help with their appearance. They want to help with their love life. They want to help with their business. They want help with, their spiritual connections, right? There are people that are still looking for healers, right? That are still on a healing journey and they know that they need someone to help them with that. There are still people running their businesses that need graphics, that need websites, that need copywritten, right? All of this is still happening. People are still looking for ways to invest, but their buying habits have changed. So I've talked to two different people this week who have been very successful in other years in their online businesses. One of them I know had a 30K launch in 2023, late 2023. But all throughout 2024, even though she has great copy and she has really exciting offers and she's showing up very consistently and she's very interesting, she's very photogenic, and her sales were just not what she was used to them being. I talked to another woman who also copy amazing. And speaking to her, she's invested all this money in getting her messaging tighter. And I mean, her messaging is amazing. And she was, constantly putting out offers, engaging, like doing all the things that, from the outside looking in, it looked like she was doing everything she needed to do. And was having a personal conversation with her in the DMs, and she wasn't making any sales from all of this stuff that she was doing. Now, what is the commonalities between these two people? That they know what they're doing, they've invested in their business before, they have great messaging, they're consistent, they're putting out offers. Here's the commonalities. Number one, they're trying to rely on impersonal ways of selling. And that has become the big trend in the coaching world, in the online world in the last few years of like, I don't need sales calls, And truthfully, a lot of people are scared to get on sales calls with coaches and healers and service providers because they've been so aggressively sold to in the past, right? So, I mean, part of it is people are shying away from it as business owners. And the other thing is like a lot of customers, a lot of potential buyers are scared of them too. But you don't have to. I could go on and on about sales calls, but what I'm saying about personal selling is trying to rely on just maybe a freebie and an email sequence and a sales page, right? Or just trying to convert off your post. And y'all, that used to work. It used to work. It didn't work as well as a lot of people who sold that concept to people like to make it sound like it worked. It worked very, very well for a select few people, but it didn't work that well for most of us, right? Now, content is important. Having good messaging, absolutely important. Having an email list, absolutely important. Having a freebie, absolutely important. But it has always converted better if you combined it with a little bit of personalized interaction instead of just throwing out a masterclass that people watch and they really don't get any interaction with you, or putting out, a free PDF or a Google Doc and they don't get any interaction with you. That stuff isn't as working as well today, right? Because buyers, they may be impressed with your pretty pictures and your exciting lifestyle, and they may, feel a connection to you, and they may like the nice shiny testimonials and case studies you put out about, people that you've helped get these amazing results. But what they want to know is, can you actually help them? And the only way that they can know that is if they have some personal interaction with you and get to kick the tires a little bit. Now, I know that's a big thing. Like, I don't deal with tire kickers. Look, buyers have intelligently become tire kickers now, and they want to have some experience of working with you before, especially before they buy high ticket. But even now, before buying, I was reading an email this morning from a big marketing messaging coach. And she was talking about how some statistics she looked at said that a lot of people quit coaching last year. And there's a lot of reasons I won't go into about why I think that happened. But she was saying like, people that were like, oh my God, I made six figures and, it was hard, but I did it. But now I can't even sell a $27 product, and y'all, this is reality. There's a lot of like 6 and 7 and even 8-figure coaches that maybe they aren't starving, but they've seen their conversions go down. And it's because they are trying to do everything from these very impersonal ways of selling. Now, I'm not talking about, personalized selling where you, sorry, my borrowed dog I'm pet sitting was kind of huffing, and I was like, okay, what's wrong with you? Okay, so I'm not talking about sending 20 or more DMs a day. I'm not talking about sending crazy amounts of friend requests. I'm not talking about spending, every day talking about whatever in the DMs and buttering people up until it's time to like pitch them. I'm not talking about that at all. So the other commonality between these two specific people that I was talking to, and the kind of narrative that I'm hearing all over the online world is that they don't have a robust enough offer suite. Okay. So, it used to be that you could have, a free PDF and then like maybe, an intensive offer where people could kind of like come in and work with you for like a 60-minute intensive, kind of get, a feel for things, and then your high ticket. And you were good as long as you had good messaging and decent pictures and you were interesting. Then you could make money. And the online space is evolving. Like the people, most of us are coaches, and as well as working with clients, we're also, we are healers and coaches and service providers, and we also hire these types of people too, right? So where was I going exactly with that? I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but we're not just business owners, we're also clients, and I'll bring that back around in a second. But with these, with our offer suites, like that used to convert really well, right? And it doesn't convert as well anymore. So last year I launched a masterclass. I had two different business coaches. I had one specifically for messaging and I had one for YouTube. And both of them were saying, you just need to do an evergreen masterclass. And that's going to, bring in a bunch of people. And so I did it, and I even did it by the traditional webinar style. Now, I didn't go full bro marketing with it where I was like trying to make people cry and feel shame and guilt to buy from me, but I did do it like in the, in the proper way, and I didn't make a single sale. Now, there was other factors to that, right? I was having some like personal struggles and I wasn't as consistent, yada yada yada. But bottom line, even people that are showing up consistently and really hitting it with the master classes or just this one freebie are not working. But in the fall, I decided that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna put out two freebies, right? And I made it really simple on myself. Like I put out one freebie that was just like a PDF, but I gave people an option to turn in homework and interact with me a little bit. Now, I'm not going to go over their homework the way that I would go over it for someone who's paying me $5,000, but I did go over it and tell them like, hey, these are some things that I see, right? So it gave them a chance. It gave me a chance to showcase my expertise without overgiving and without overgiving, without like spending a lot of time, but it still nurtured those people far better than just sending them a PDF and some emails, right? And then I made like a super short master like mini course, right, that I pre-recorded, right? But then I also included ways for people to have a little bit of interaction with me there, right? So by doing this, I was able to convert. I converted 100% of the people that I pitched to, though 100% of the people that I spoke to, right, to a 6-month program. So having a more streamlined, like I've talked to some people, they're like, oh my God, I've got all these freebies and I have, a free, a low cost community on school, and I have my YouTube channel, my podcast, and I have a Facebook group, right? And but I'm still not converting. And I'm like, okay, so you've got too much going on, right? So there's problems on either end, right? You can either have too many things going on and it's not streamlined enough, or you can have like not enough ways for people to really kick the tires in a time efficient way for both you and them, in order for them to like warm up, right? And really see, okay, I get the feel of what this is going to be like, right? And move into working with you, especially on those higher ticket levels. So the other thing is that our offers have become very coach centric or very, healer centric. Probably this is not so much for the service providers, so you can kind of like tune me out, but like the one of the narratives in the coaching industry is that, your business is supposed to be about providing freedom for you and about, providing for the lifestyle you want to lead. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the message has gotten really lost in the mainstream conversation in the online world about the true purpose of why we're in business is to really be a powerful service to people. Now, being a powerful service to people and making a lot of money and having a freedom lifestyle are not mutually exclusive. As a matter of fact, if you are intelligent and strategic and really conscious and intentional about the way that you create your offers, you can absolutely do both, right? But what I've seen over the last several years, because let's see, I've been coaching since 2009, I've been in the online world since 2013. And what I've seen is more and more coaches who they're offering fewer calls and it's more messaging support. Now, I'm not against messaging support. I think it's a great adjunct. I think it's a great add-on to calls. But for me, like as a client and as a coach, there are times that I will just call my client and just be like, look, we can talk this out in 10 minutes instead of spending the next 4 hours going back and forth in Telegram about this, right? So if that works for you as a client, great. If it works for you as a coach, great. If you're a coach whose clients really get a lot out of just the messaging coaching and they don't want to do video coaching, they don't want to do audio calls, fine, great. But I think the vast majority, I think a lot of us really crave that connection with our mentor, and we want more than, one call a month, maybe even 2 calls a month. For me, for my clients, I really like to do at least like 2 to 3 calls a month. As a client, I really like to have 3 calls a month. Um, but, setting up these offers where it's, everything is on the client. It's like it's a bunch of video stuff, but then there's no help with like how to actually integrate it and apply it, right? So, I don't care if you're trying to help somebody learn macros or you're trying to help somebody learn meditation. You can have incredible educational materials, but if you don't then show them like actually practical application, this is how you're going to work it into your life or your spiritual practice or your nutrition, right? Then it's not going to be, nearly as effective. So many people have invested super high ticket and they haven't gotten results, even though they were doing everything they were told to do, right? So people are wary now. It's another reason why we need a really streamlined intentional offer suite to kind of be breadcrumbs and let people like stick their toe in, for a freebie, maybe stick their toe in for another freebie that requires a little more commitment of their time, like some kind of masterclass or training, and then, give them an option of a lower mid-ticket offer. And there's ways to do this without creating a whole lot more work for yourself, right? You just have to be strategic and intentional with it, right? So, the other thing is like people are taking longer to convert. And if you've got this really good breadcrumb trail, like I converted people in, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks. One person in full disclosure had been somebody that I almost worked with a couple years ago. And then she decided it wasn't the right time. I gave her a refund, right? And then she came back to me, and she came back into my world. And within 2 weeks, she became a high ticket client for a 6 month program, right? It's because I had this very strategic, intentional offer suite, right, that I brought her into. But trying to rush people into making decisions, trying to shame them and tell them that, they don't believe in themselves or they don't really believe in their dream or, scaring them like, well, what's going to happen in 6 months if you haven't done anything about it, right? And I think there's different energies from which you can ask that question, right? But the way it's been used has been really to like scare people into jumping in. And again, it's this very coach centric, business owner centric model of selling and marketing where, it doesn't really matter what the potential client needs. It's all about like, I need to make these sales numbers for the month, right? And people are over that, right? They're not buying the gaslighting that speed equals results, right? That jumping in blindly and quickly means that they're going to get better results. People know better now. People are more sophisticated. They've got a lot more experience with this stuff now. Contracts that bind people and don't give them an option to opt out if it turns out that it's not a good fit, that is something that I think is really going to go by the way of the dodo bird. And it makes people really scared to jump into something because they've probably jumped into 2 or 3 other things when they paid high ticket, got in, realized that it really wasn't the right fit because there wasn't enough opportunity to interact with a mentor or whatever before they bought from them. And then they didn't get good results, but they're stuck paying, this huge ticket thing, right? So, the last thing is no accountability by especially coaches and healers, but I think service providers too, especially the ones that will brag about client results. I love this, the people that will brag about these huge client results and there's no transparency, to tell you like where this person's starting point was that they were able to get these big results. It's just put out there that like anybody can get these amazing pie in the sky results with these people, but they will crow to the rafters about these great results, but then at the same time, they'll turn around and say, well, if my clients don't get results, it's all on them. It's their fault. And you can't have one without the other. It's either you had something to do with it or you don't. So I think that, people are really sick of that. They're really sick of being told that if they did everything that they were told to do, they showed up for themselves, they, integrated and implemented everything they were told to do and they didn't get results. And the person is telling them, well, I mean, it's not your fault, it's your fault, right? Or, if it's a service provider, maybe it's an ads manager and they talked to you about all these great results you're going to get. You did everything they told you to do and what they did didn't work. And then somehow they want to put it back on you and tell you that it's your fault, right? That kind of stuff isn't flying anymore. Like people have wised up. Okay. So if you're using I don't know why, probably nobody who follows me is using this kind of stuff. I'm sure. But if somebody is giving you the terrible advice to use these very outdated, very manipulative strategies, stop. And, there's ways like add in some personalized touches. Like once somebody opts in for your email list and they get the freebie, follow up with them as good customer service and make sure they were able to actually get it, right? And just showing that you care, something beyond just this automated message. Now, and I'm not against automation. You can use mini chat, you can use autoresponders, you can use your email list, but you also need to be doing some personalized stuff. And it doesn't have to take forever. And as a matter of fact, it will probably be far more efficient than you rewriting your email sequence a billion times because it's still not converting the way you want to. So in summary, right, what you need to make sales online as a coach, healer, or service provider in 2025, you need an offer that is designed to be of maximum support to your clients. You need an offer that is designed from the start to think about not only like your lifestyle and your freedom and your income goals, but actually how you're going to help like 90% plus of your clients achieve or exceed their goals. We need to be doing more personalized ways of selling, like reaching out, actually forming a relationship. And you're not doing this with just random people that look like they might be your ideal client. You're doing this with people that are opting into your stuff, right? Don't try to rush people. It's going to turn them off. And consider revising your contract. Like make it so that it's not a scary thing for people to sign. Like make it so that there is some protection for the client in there, and take accountability for the love of God for your client's results. Of course, like you can be amazing at what you do, and if your client doesn't show up, if they doesn't do don't do what they're supposed to do, obviously that's not going to work, right? But here's the thing: if you truly know who you serve and who gets great results with you, and you have designed your program very, very well, most of the people going through it should get good results. And if you've got, I don't know, if I have somebody who's not showing up, I will fire them. I will break the contract and fire them, because I don't want to take money from somebody who's not getting results. Like, no matter what, if they're not showing up, I will kick them to the curb. If they're showing up and it just turns out that as much as we thought it was a great fit, it isn't, then I will break that contract, right? So adding stuff like this will make it easier for people to sign up for, especially for these higher ticket programs, because people are still buying. But we have to be real about how buyer behavior has changed, how they've become more sophisticated. We've become more sophisticated. We know we've been coached, we've been in programs, we know what works for us and what doesn't. And so we're a lot more choosy, we're a lot more slow to make decisions, and but we are still buying. You just have to know how to reach us. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. I don't do hard selling. My whole thing is like zero pressure selling. And I also have a really great freebie that I'll put the link to here. It is Sales Success Secrets. It's 5 proven sales tips from my zero pressure sales method that have helped my most advanced clients. These are people that were already making some sales before they hired me. They came in, they did the work, they hired me one-to-one, and they were able to 3 times their sales in 2 to 4 months. Okay. You're not going to get those results from the freebie, but it will give you some insight into how I do what I do, and you can start trying to implement the things on your own. So I'll drop that down here, and yeah, happy Friday, everybody.